Well, welcome back to another episode of the Cruise Conversations podcast. I'm Michael.
And I'm Frank.
And today's episode is episode number 55, and we're sitting down with Frank's mom, Mary, to discuss her recent Icon of the Seas sailing. Let's jump into it.
Well, Mom, welcome back on to the podcast. This is an exciting one. We've been talking about Icon of the Seas, I feel like, for months now. Just excited about it. You just got off a few weeks back, and Scotty and I have got our cruise coming up in September. So I'm excited to talk through it a little bit more and kind of hear, what you thought of the cruise. You also just got off of Celebrity, so we'll have to do another Celebrity, deep dive and talk about where your loyalty will fall after trying Celebrity for the first time. But yeah, today we really want to focus on Icon and just your experience. You've been on a ton of Royal cruises, probably, I don't know, like 30 cruises. So it'll be good to kind of hear, last time we talked about Wonder and you were like, Wonder of the Seas is my favorite cruise ship I've been on. Now you went on Icon. So excited to hear what you have to say about Icon.
Well, thanks for having me back. Yeah. Icon was amazing and we have lots to talk about, lots to share. So fire away with questions. I'm ready.
Yeah, so this cruise, you guys live down, we're actually not in the studio this week, so if you're watching on YouTube, watching on Spotify, we are in the low country of South Carolina, so different backdrop this week, but you actually you flew down to Miami, right? So you're about probably, 8 hours from Miami, so you actually flew down, I think you had a nonstop, but you flew down the day of, which is something that we typically don't do, but we're trying to, not get in the night before. I think you had something else you were celebrating, so how was, the travel down to Miami, and how was getting on Icon of the Seas?
So yes, we flew the day of the cruise, which I don't recommend. And as Frank said, one of my cardinal rules is go the day before, get settled, make sure your luggage is all with you, and then leisurely, get on the ship the next morning. So time did not allow for this particular cruise. So flew in the day of the cruise. Luckily, it was a direct flight, so didn't have any worries there. Luggage made it. And very, very smooth. The whole embarkation process, not knowing, of course, with Icon, the amount of people boarding, even though they're trying to schedule people at different times and ask you to kind of stick to that time. We were in a suite, thankfully, so we were able to kind of board at our leisure, and it was flawless. Kudos to Royal, never crowded, no lines at checking in the checking in process at all. I think we were on board 11 o'clock, and that was our choice. We probably could have started earlier.
That's awesome. So Frank and I both mentioned at the start, this is the current largest cruise ship in the world. So, once you got onto the ship, you entered through the promenade, and the first thing you came to was the Pearl. What were kind of your immediate thoughts when you walked in, saw the Pearl, and what did you think of this new, newly designed promenade?
Well, it's spectacular. Absolutely love the promenade. The Pearl, when you first walk in, you're like, why? Because it's just, it actually looks like it. And I'm glad that they, the Pearl, so that you keep your mind focused on the Pearl, because it kind of looks like a giant golf ball, to be honest. And yet they made it work as far as how you go up the stairs and you're into the cafe, understanding that it was a structural, issue. They had to have that Pearl there that's supporting, I want to say 4 or 5 decks. Is it 4 decks? Yeah. So they made it work. I mean, it's beautiful. There's a wall of windows. I mean, to sit at the cafe and be able to look out and have these beautiful windows looking out into the ocean, pretty spectacular. But when you first, again, walk in, you're like, that's interesting, because it's just this giant Pearl. But again, beautiful. And the whole promenade is spectacular.
Yeah, so you mentioned the promenade, right? So this is a pretty redesigned from the Oasis class promenade. Obviously a lot of the feedback that they had on the existing promenade is that it's one story, you've got maybe you have schooner bar up there, right? But then, no windows at all, right? So it's pretty much like in a mall, and, people want to be connected to the ocean, right? That's a lot of feedback that Royal got, was that you're dining at Central Park, you don't even look at the ocean, you're in, shopping mall basically that's floating, no windows, nothing like that. So they did completely redesign the promenade. One of the things I'm excited about is that you've got the stairs that go from the promenade into Central Park, which is so cool. How did you feel did you guys spend a lot of time here? Did you really enjoy that space?
So love the new concept of the promenade, where you can access, walking completely across the ship from 2 levels. For number one, it alleviates the crowds. So you are able to have people on both levels, so you don't feel that congestion at busy times, such as it's raining or elevators. So you really are able to enjoy the promenade. Again, 2 levels. So we loved it. Very, very good.
Yeah, so on this particular sailing, you had the Sunset Corner Suite, which was the Sky Class, right? So there are a lot of perks that come with the Sky Class. You know, obviously you get Coastal Kitchen, you get to board earlier and quicker, a little bit expedited boarding. You get the Grove Sun Deck up top, which has its own dining like space where you can just pretty much spend the whole day at the Grove. It's got hot tubs, it's got pools, it's got, you know, again, food up there, which I heard was really good. Overall, how did you probably made your way to your room and you had some thoughts as soon as you got in, 1 o'clock hit, you got to go to your room. What did you think of your room on Icon, and what did you think about the perks that you got with the room as well?
Oh my gosh. So don't know where to begin with this. This is a pretty incredible suite. We were very lucky to have succeeded with our royal upbid. Sunset Corner Suite is spectacular. My first impression was when we arrived to our room, our luggage was there like within 5 minutes of our arrival to our room, which is pretty quick. Our stateroom attendant was there to greet us and talk to us and introduce herself, and she was amazing. After COVID, or, right when COVID happened and then soon after COVID, many people complained that, they really were kind of taking a more hands-off, with the stateroom attendants not being maybe there as much. And in fact, some people on some blogs would say, oh, I never saw my stateroom attendant. And definitely in the suite class, they are very connected to you, asking you constantly what they can do, what do you need? Are you having a great day? So very, very attentive. The corner suite is quite large, has spectacular views. You are, a ways from the elevator. So for anybody that is traveling with any kind of issue walking, it's probably not the room for you because it is pretty far from any elevator situation. Room is large, bathroom is large. From a storage standpoint, that is where that Royal missed the mark there. Not a lot of storage. So for instance, one of my favorite cabins is the junior suite and has a beautiful walk-in closet, plenty of storage, way more actually than the Sunset Suite. Lots of room in the Sunset Suite. I mean, very, very large room, but not very much storage. I love the updated USB chargers and, where you can access, plug in your phone, and that is definitely a perk. By each side of the bed, you have access to USB, which is, again, an upgrade. And the deck is huge. I mean, wraparound deck with very nice lounging chairs and, again, spectacular views of the ocean. One of the things people talk about a lot is the junior suite, which, again, my favorite cabin. However, you only have access to Coastal Kitchen for dinner. And they always say, if available. I've never had a problem getting in for dinner on any ship with a junior suite. But that is where it ends. You don't get any other suite perks with the junior suite until you go to Grand Suite, which then enables you to partake in in the sun decks and anytime Coastal Kitchen. And of course, with the Sky Sunset Suite, we had access to all of that. The sun deck, spectacular, never crowded, awesome food, attendance, plunge pool. Couldn't ask for more. So that's what you give up. But I think they could have done a much better job as far as storage. It's surprising, as big as the room is, that there's just not adequate storage as far as drawers. You do have like armoires to hang your clothes. There are 2 of those, but just not any drawers. It's almost like, oh my gosh, did they forget to do this? But I mean, once you look at the view, it's hard to worry about the storage part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that room was awesome. I mean, like you said, when you have a nice balcony that wraps around and stuff to do out there, I mean, yeah, you can give up a little bit of storage, but also kind of surprised that, like you said, for the size of the room, they didn't add more storage. But like you said, so at this point, you've dropped your stuff off at the room, you've met your room attendant. Now, how did you end up spending this first day on the ship? I mean, it was a new class ship for you. What did you do for sail away? Did you go explore the ship a little more? How did you spend this first day on Icon of the Seas?
Well, actually, we did. We explored because, to your point, this is the first time, different class. I'm a big Oasis class, fan, and so I was kind of a fish out of water. I had to kind of get my bearings, and so we just took off and we kind of went deck by deck, just exploring all of the new areas. And the reimagined open space on this ship is incredible. They really gave a lot of thought to having spaces for all kinds of families and whatever you're looking for. If you're just looking for a little quiet spot on the ship, you can find that on Icon. So we just explored and checked out the restaurants and of course the new Aquadome and the new ice skating rink and so yeah, that's what we did. We just set off to go get some bubbles on Central Park on deck 8, which is one of my favorite decks. But that was a great addition and really not crowded. I thought it was going to be crowded. Some days it was more crowded than others, but bubbles, it's incredible. That was such a great addition. So we got some bubbles and set off to explore.
And obviously, like you mentioned, Icon is the first ship in the class. Now, some of the neighborhoods, like you mentioned, stayed the same. Some got a little bit of reimagining. How did you feel, how does the ship feel compared to an Oasis class ship? Do you feel like you kind of knew where you were at times, or did it take a while to kind of, like you said, get your bearings straight?
Definitely took a little while. They again did an amazing job just kind of rethinking all of the spaces. For instance, guest services, I was just telling Frank, is kind of off, tucked away, where it's not in the middle of the promenade, where, at certain times can be very, very congested. So it's kind of off in its own little space and tucked away. But definitely took me a while to kind of get used to the layout. Surfside, which would be boardwalk on Oasis, spectacular. I mean, that, always was kind of family oriented with the exception of, you had Johnny Rockets on Oasis and Playmakers, which is now not there on Icon. It is very, very geared towards families. Probably, and from my point of view, it was the most congested place on Icon the entire trip. But it was okay because you knew that when you went to Surfside, you were going to, be seeing a lot of families enjoying all that Surfside has to offer, starting with like a cool slide. So for adults, there are steps kind of leading down into the Surfside deck area, and in addition that they made was a slide for kids, which was constantly, there were kids going down that slide and enjoying that. And of course, still the carousel, but they really, all of the families there were just nonstop families enjoying that. The whole time we were there, I was never on Surfside where there wasn't like a lot of kids and families. So I think that was a huge success, that whole concept.
Well, awesome. So let's kind of talk about some of the stops you did on this 7-day sailing. So your first stop was actually in St. Maarten. How did you guys end up spending your day here on the island of St. Maarten?
So my favorite is St. Maarten. Just love being on St. Maarten, love the people, love the restaurants. So we this time went to Rainbow Grill, which we love. Usually there's a live DJ. They have fresh sushi, phenomenal food. They also have a beach area that you can rent beach chairs and kind of enjoy the whole day. So you can make a reservation for lunch and then enjoy the DJ and the beach. Also not as windy as Orient Beach. There is a place called Coco Beach Club on St. Maarten that is also lovely, a little more serene, a little more low-key, also phenomenal, great food. The water is not as friendly. It's on the windward side of the island, and so a little bit breezy. Water's a little rougher, still beautiful. So back to Rainbow Grill, it's in Grand Cas. So much calmer water. We had a spectacular time. Love St. Maarten.
Yeah, you've mentioned Rainbow Cafe a couple times, and I've never been, but would love to go next time. Unfortunately, on Icon, we're going to St. Kitts, so we won't get to try it, but maybe next year I'll get to go out to Rainbow Cafe. So your next stop was St. Thomas. Usually this is a little bit of a shorter stop because you got to make your way back to Cococay and you only have one day. But how did you guys end up spending your time in St. Thomas?
Well, of all of our days, the weather wasn't the best at St. Thomas. And since, of course, I've been so many times, we opted to stay on the ship and just do more exploring. So we took that opportunity to have the people that wanted to get off so that we could have a little more time on the ship without as many people, just kind of doing our own thing. So we spent the day just more exploring on the ship. Had a lot of time to just really enjoy the pool. There's so many amazing pool areas, the adult area, the hideaway adult area on Icon. fabulous, where it's kind of, just they have a infinity pool that has a clear like wall that you can be in the pool and look out over the back of the ship. The views are just spectacular. So we just explored and kind of, like I said, enjoyed our time on the ship with a little less people.
Did you really enjoy the Hideaway area? Like, was it too kind of loud? I know Hideaway Beach at Cococay, we've talked about it before. It can be a little bit too much, like Royal's trying too hard, and they're losing people with that. Do you feel like the back of the ship on Icon was, still somewhere you'd want to hang out, or did you feel like it was kind of like too much?
That's a great question. So it was crowded. They definitely had a mixed group of people. So you saw everybody from, of course you have to be 18. So from 18 to 70. I mean, there were all age groups represented. The pool was very crowded at times, of course, because again, the view is spectacular and it's warm and it's a great place to be. We didn't spend a ton of time there. We had some cocktails and kind of moved about in that whole space. They definitely enforce the age. There's definitely nobody in there under 18. And I felt like, again, the vibe was just an eclectic group of people. There was people from all ages. So if you were in your 50s, you'd be comfortable. There was just a nice mix. Great music, wasn't too loud. A lot of people complain that there's not towel areas, like there's no place to really kind of put your towels. So that was a little strange. You have your towel and you're just kind of laying it by the side of the pool and, but very well thought out. A great area for adults to just come have a cocktail and listen to music without all of the craziness of families.
Gosh, you're getting me so excited about that spot. I can't wait to enjoy it. I love that they added hot tubs back there too. So like, I don't think on any ship you really have like hot tubs on the back looking out, and that is just something cool that they added there as well. So your next stop was Perfect Day at Cococay. I believe you guys ended up doing the Coco Beach Club. How was your day at Cococay, enjoying the Coco Beach Club, and do you think it was worth the cost being out there?
Oh gosh, Cococay is always a perfect day. I mean, we had a blast. We love Coco Beach Club. Once again, just a little bit, you're paying a little extra. And it can vary. I mean, the price sometimes is higher, depending on if, there's a lot of people on the island at that time or what have you. But we had a blast. I mean, we you can come and go at Cococay. You don't have to stay at that one spot. You're free to walk the island and explore other places. But, they have a beautiful pool. It was beautiful weather. So we just kind of hung out. I have been to Hideaway, and I think Hideaway at Cococay, that's a little bit different than what I was describing on the ship. Hideaway definitely is trying to find its vibe for people. Like, they have a DJ at times in Hideaway. It can be super loud and kind of a lot of rap. But I feel like they're trying to figure out what their sweet spot is. I mean, if you're going to go at spring break, you're going to see a lot of young people in the water with a lot of rap. I had a great experience at Hideaway in the sense that I love how they did the lagoon, and they kind of did a really good job about making it like a lagoon pool and kind of blocking off the main ocean area. The music was fine. They have some different dining options. They also have a live band at the bar area there. So, but again, something for everybody. If that's not your jam, then you can be back at Coco Beach Club, which is a little more, serene, a little quieter. So you can't go wrong. Whatever you choose at Coco Beach or Cococay, it's going to be fabulous.
And that's the thing, is kind of like you mentioned, you can go if you don't want to spend all day in the beach club, you can go out, wander the island. I feel like Hideaway's kind of tucked off by itself. So it's a process, right? Picking up all your stuff and leaving and going somewhere else on the island. But yeah, it sounds like a great day at the Coco Beach Club. What did you end up eating here for lunch?
Oh, so Michael, that was a great point to what you just said about being kind of isolated. Once you're at Hideaway on Coco Beach Club, Cococay, you're not going anywhere. To your point, you're going to pretty much stay there. So if you wanted to go there and lay in the sun, enjoy the music, enjoy the pool, have a little lunch, and then go explore, that would be your plan, because you're not going to come and go.
Yeah.
And that's the main difference with Coco Beach Club. Coco Beach Club is definitely more centrally located, so you're able to kind of come and go. You Chill Island, you go to the water park, so very, very much accessible compared to Hideaway. So for sure about that. So that, I guess, is my only, getting back to what you just asked about the food, kind of my only complaint. I mean, they have the lobster, they have the filet, it's great, But there are so many other great options on the island where you and Hideaway has a great menu, by the way. That I thought their menu was very well thought out. But maybe you just want a Greek salad, or or a burger, or chicken sandwich. Well, Cocoa Beach Club doesn't really offer that. I mean, they have a very distinct menu, trying to be upscale. Maybe because you do, pay quite a bit to get into Cocoa Beach Club. So maybe they feel like, hey, we need to have steak and lobster. Well, not everybody wants steak and lobster for lunch. I mean, it's great. So I feel like that could be something that they change, where they would also offer some salads or some wraps or sandwiches where you can get at other venues on Cococay. So I ended up having the lobster. Fabulous. I mean, it's great, but it would be great to have some just regular salads and wraps as an alternative.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Just about what you said about, if you're staying at Cocoa Beach Club, you have to pretty much eat the steak and lobster to be worth it, because you're paying all that money. You're paying over probably $150 a person. You feel like you need to eat there to get the value. If you just want the chicken sandwich that day, or if you want the free Mexican food on the island, which is really good, the math's not gonna add up unless you just really value that space. But there's so much space on the island to really unwind. I don't know if it's going to be worth it if you don't do the lunch.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, they do have a crab, a fried lobster sandwich. But again, there's a Caesar salad that's more like a side Caesar you could have with chicken. But to your point, there are so many great choices on the island that you do kind of feel obligated to kind of splurge. But it's not all about the food in Cocoa Beach Club. I mean, the attendants there at the beach are always there. There's a lot of great service. There's towels. You don't have to bring your towels from the ship, which that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it's kind of a big deal. I mean, you go up there, you get as many towels as you want, and it's right there at Cocoa Beach Club, so you don't have to bring your towels from the ship. Back to the central location, you can kind of move about all over the island and still get back into the beach club. So great experience, always my favorite. Although, like I said, I still think that Hideaway was a great ad, and I personally enjoyed it as well when I was there.
Well, it sounds like you had a great time at Perfect Day at Cococay. Let's talk about some of your sea days now. You had 3 of them on this sailing. How did you end up spending your sea days here on Icon?
Well, we actually enjoyed some breakfast, because on port days, it's pretty rushed. You have to get up pretty early. Everybody's getting off the ship, so you have a limited time and limited venues for breakfast. So it's a great time to get up and enjoy breakfast and kind of, again, take in all that there is to offer on the ship, because you've got a whole day just to explore. So we laid out in the sun on the Sun Deck 4 suite guests, which again, phenomenal. They did such a great job with the suite Sun Deck. And then just kind of explored and got to have lunch at some of the specialty dining. That is definitely a perk with the package of the specialty dining package, is that you're able to enjoy lunch at the various specialty dining versus having to go to all of the free food like the Windjammer or whatever is offered. However, I will say there were so many places to get food other than Windjammer. Anybody that's traveled on Oasis class knows that at breakfast, lunch, on sea days can be extraordinarily congested and crowded and just kind of nightmarish. Not the case on Icon. There are so many areas to get, a salad or a burger and fries or whatever you want. And you don't ever feel like you're totally crowded. So we did that. We just kind of explored and hung out, went in the casino a little bit and played around and just enjoyed the ship. Yeah.
So you talked about the dining package. I think that's a good transition into the food on board. Overall, how was the dining? Do you feel like you were happy that you did the unlimited dining package? How did you feel like the specialty dining experience? I know we've talked about in the past that there's not 150 Central Park, so that they switched that out, moved Playmakers, so you've got Pier 7 on the back, but they definitely did some changes there. How do you feel like the dining was on board overall?
So big fan of specialty dining because it offers you just a lot more choices. So we were able to enjoy dinner at Chops, which we loved. Food was great. Wine list was incredible. A little smaller, I felt. It was a little more congested than the Oasis class. Giovanni's, phenomenal. The pizza, they have a new pizza oven kind of situation, phenomenal. We had a great dinner there. And then Playmakers, we get why they moved it. They moved it to deck 6, which you kind of to get there, you're coming up on Surfside and you have to walk through the logo shop. So it's kind of tucked away off to itself. So you have to actually look for it, which is unique because it used to be on Boardwalk with Oasis, or is on a Boardwalk with Oasis. So still awesome. I think they added a lot more tables, a lot more television, so you can enjoy sports and your beer and your wings or whatever. So we did enjoy Playmakers. So Hooked, food was good. You do have some ocean view in Hooked, but it is by the Aquadome, which you think, oh gosh, we'll sit out there and enjoy dinner and watch the show. No, it does not happen like that. It is loud, and people are actually allowed to stand up that can't get seats for the Aqua show. So if you have a table, which we did, that you think you have a view of the show, you do not have a view because there are people standing right in front of you. So I almost think that those tables, for the most part, are a little bit of a waste, because especially obviously in the evening. But food was good. Enjoyed very much Hooked. And then there's Empire Supper Club, which is Royal's theme restaurant. I always said, Wonderland was a great concept, but how many times can you go to Wonderland? I mean, you have the Mad Hatter, and it's fun, and the Earth and the Sea, and all of that is great, but how many times could you actually go? So you're going to go once just for curiosity, and then if you have friends that have not gone to Wonderland, you're going to go again. But how many times? Whereas Empire Supper Club, I could see myself going many times. First of all, you walk in and you feel like you're walking into like New York. I mean, there is a great jazz trio with a vocalist that was phenomenal. And let me get back. Of course, it's an upcharge, so it is not included with your main, dining, specialty dining package. You have to pay a little bit of an upcharge. But definitely worth it. It does come with alcohol, so every meal has a signature drink, and there are many of those signature drinks. Quite honestly, there were things I probably would have never ordered or thought to order that were very good and very well thought out. So very limited. It's not a large venue, so you do have to, if you want to experience that, you have to definitely make a reservation and a formal attire. And a lot of people don't want to dress up and wear formal. Well, it is on the invitation, which I did bring a little prop. So on the day, well, I think it was the next day that we boarded, we received this little invitation with a beautiful wax seal on the back. And basically it says, we are excited to have you. Welcome to an unforgettable night at Empire Supper Club. Doors open at 6:20. Doors close at 6:30. Formal attire required, not suggested, required. And they're pretty strict with it, and rightfully so. I mean, it's an elegant evening with music and food. So we would do that again for sure. I think it's going to be long lived. I think it's a much better concept, or different, I should say, not better, just different than Wonderland. And everybody that evening had great things to say about their experience at Supper Club. So Empire Supper Club. So.
Yeah, Empire Supper Club sounds amazing. I mean, like you said, you get, I think, cocktails right with every course, which is a little bit different than you think of like Chef's Table, where it's like wine pairings throughout it. So that's already kind of elevated. And like you said, with it being an elegant just dinner overall, many courses, many cocktails, like you said, it does come with a higher price overall. How did you feel about the price? Was it worth it? And would you say it's one of the better meals you've had on a royal ship?
So yes, I think it's worth it. And if you don't have the dining package and you just purchased Empire Supper Club, of course, or you don't have the drink package, the beverage package as far as alcohol, they serve a cocktail with every course. Whether you like it or not. It may not be your favorite. Actually, most of them were very good. So yes, I think it was worth it. There's food served at Empire Supper Club that you cannot have anywhere on the ship, which is very different than the chef's table, One of my biggest complaints about Chef's Table is that, it is not a lot of new food. There's many of those meals you can find at other specialty restaurants on the ship. So if you were on an Oasis class, for instance, I would say, well, if you don't have the the dining package, Chef's Table is a great opportunity to kind of explore some of the food that you can get at some of the specialty restaurants. If you do have the dining package, my complaint about Chef's Table is it's really not new food. It's a lot of food that you might see at some of the specialty dining restaurants. Whereas Empire Supper Club is entirely different menu. There's no place on the ship that you're going to have the menu and the food that you have at Empire Supper Club, along with the drink pairing, the cocktail pairing, and the live entertainment, which is pretty overwhelming. I think people were just blown away at the level of talent for the jazz trio. It was pretty spectacular.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a great call out, like you said, with Empire Supper Club kind of being a menu set for that restaurant, right? You're not going to find it anywhere else on the ship. So if you want to check it out, I mean, like I said, it sounds like a great evening, and the music on top of it sounds even better. Let's move on to some of the free dining now here on the ship. I feel like Royal really took a step forward with this on the Icon class. You have some new places like the Aquadome Market. You got the Surfside Eatery and Surfside Bites. You got Base Camp up in the water park that has part free, part upcharge menu. How was the free dining overall, and what did you try here on your sailing?
So one thing I think Icon just nailed was the free food situation, as far as the options to take your kids for breakfast, lunch, and have so many choices. You have the Aquadome Market that just has, you have crepes, you have Greek salads. I mean, phenomenal, tons of options there. And then you have Pearl Cafe, which is up into the Pearl, so to speak. So in the morning, of course, when everybody's rushing to get their coffee, it could be a little congested, but larger, a lot more people working there, so that your coffee, it's not a huge wait. Of course, peak times, 8:00 in the morning, you're going to expect to wait a little bit. But Windjammer by far was the biggest upgrade. You walk in and there are so many options. I mean, from fresh seafood, fresh shrimp cocktail, lots more tables. Just really, really went all out on Windjammer. And I think everybody across the board said what an improvement from Oasis class was Windjammer. So then Surfside Eats, there is no Johnny Rockets, so you don't get your burger fix if that's what you're looking for. However, Surfside Eats is, you walk up, if you want a burger and fries, you just walk right up and they serve you right then and there. There's plenty of places to sit in Surfside, but there isn't like a restaurant where you walk into it. It's kind of like right there in Surfside. You walk up, make your order, and then find a place to sit. And tons of seating, tons of tables, and lots of families there. So we enjoyed just being able to go up at any time of the day and order. They also have ice cream there, the soft serve, which everybody loves. They have that, and then up at the pool deck as well.
Yeah, I feel like with Icon as well, Mom, like there's so many free food options. Like you mentioned, I'm excited to try those, but then also balancing the dining package. It's just like, it's too much to do in 7 days. I mean, there's so many restaurants, and I would just be trying to grab sushi, and it's just going to be a lot. But, also besides food, there's a lot of bars, right? So you've got the Ryan Bean, which is an Aquadome Market. You've got 1400 Lobby Bar, which is like giving kind of tribute to some of the cool spots. They've got the menu with the flow rider and like just really cool things about some of the Royal Caribbean ships, and they kind of named the drinks after that. You've got tons of bars. You've got the lemon post right on the back for the kids and mommy and me kind of style. How did you feel like the drinks were on board? Any drinks or anything that you or any bars that you really enjoyed the most?
Oh gosh. Well, yes, they again, back to reimagining the spaces. They included the bars and the lounges in that. And Ryan Bean is awesome. The 1400 has this really cool cocktail. It's actually a margarita that has this giant bubble on it, which is interesting because you have to pop the bubble in order to drink the margarita. So many people enjoyed that and enjoyed that, the fun concept of that drink in particular. But I would say Bubbles was a favorite of ours on Central Park, because you can walk up and they have mimosas, Bellinis, and all kinds of different champagne, with an upcharge, or, they had some that were definitely included in the drink package and some that you could pay more for, including like Dom, which is pretty incredible for a little walk-up bubbles bar. So in Central Park, again, thank God they kept that, because I love Central Park. Very, very few kids on Central Park. If you want to just get up there and grab some sushi at the new Izumi sushi window, or have a glass of champagne. And, they also have the shutters. I don't know if you guys have heard a lot of people talk about the colored shutters. So my friend and I were kind of on the fence about whether we like that, because it's so beautiful in Central Park. It was kind of different that they did the bright colored shutters. I wouldn't say we were a fan. A lot of people liked it. It's just a personal preference. But yeah, great place to go have a drink and have a little peace and quiet. And of course, at night, they still have great entertainment. Latin guitar, vocalist, there's music pretty much at every bar venue on the ship. So we really enjoyed kind of hopping around in the evening and trying different cocktail venues.
Well, that's kind of the perfect segue to the next part, entertainment here. Now, like we said, new class of ship. I mean, I feel like they reimagined a lot of the entertainment found around the ship too, with the new Absolute Zero ice rink. You got luge, jazz and blues, dueling pianos, comedy, the new aqua shows in the Aquadome, and then Wizard of Oz as the main Broadway show. How did y'all tackle the entertainment on your sailing?
One day at a time, one night at a time. We did not see the ice show, just didn't work out with our schedule. But the ice rink is spectacular, larger for sure than Oasis class. Dueling pianos, what a great ad. It was always crowded. Everybody was always having a great time. Very, very fun. Lots of audience, lots of audience participation. So, and then they have kind of like an outside standing area by the bar that you can, so if you don't have a seat, you can actually still enjoy it. And that whole area was always kind of crowded with lots of people enjoying dueling piano. So what a great addition. Wizard of Oz, interesting. So I will tell you, 16-piece orchestra, which makes you feel like you're on Broadway in New York. The quality of the special effects was off the charts, just incredible, to the point where they at one point had snow falling. I thought it was a bit of a different choice choosing Wizard of Oz, just because it's a great show. We all grew up watching Wizard of Oz, but not as fun as something like Mamma Mia or Hairspray. So I'll be interested to see if it stands the test of time, so to speak. Great special effects. I mean, you have to see it. It just to see what they've done with the whole theater and again the live orchestra. So it was fantastic. I wish they would have done something a little more upbeat. But kudos. I mean, always stepping outside the box and picking something different. And we'll just see. We'll see how it goes. Theater about I would say it's the same kind of design. Obviously holds more people. I didn't have any trouble getting in or getting seats. But highly recommend. You got to see it at least one time. Comedy, we had 3 comedians, spectacular. We laughed and laughed. Again, probably that was a little more difficult to acquire seats. Luckily, we were had a suite, so we had our concierge book our reservations and had no problem getting in. But it was packed. There was not an empty chair, so that was spectacular. So ice show, like I said, we missed that. We did not see that due to our schedule, and then. The blues. Okay. So yeah. Jazz and blues. So as you know, they did away with the jazz club, down on deck 4, right? Oasis deck 4. It's fantastic. Again, standing room only, just fabulous talent. It's not just a trio at this point. You have bands. We passed it in Central Park. Great location. You can't get a seat. So highly recommend blues. Just so glad that they brought it back. I think a lot of people missed it. Aqua show. Oh my gosh. The best. It kind of like brought in some Cirque du Soleil because they have a lot of aerial, a lot of new music. Spectacular. There is a skateboard scene in the Aqua show that some people complained about, saying, well, why did they do it? Who cares why they did it? It's pretty amazing. When you see these guys, what they're doing, they are so talented and athletic. And maybe it isn't Aqua, but it's spectacular. So again, phenomenal show. Love that it is now closed in so that there are, no reasons that you can't see the show so often on Oasis Class because of the back of the ship and the danger of, having the wind or the seas interfere with the show. You don't have that. It goes on every night, and my gosh, such talent. So we thoroughly enjoyed the Aqua show. Highly, highly recommend.
So outside of kind of everything we've mentioned so far between the changes made to the neighborhoods and new restaurants and bars and all that, is there anything else that kind of just stood out to you that was new on this ship that is worth mentioning?
Oh my gosh. Well, there are many things, but one in particular, of course, is the elevator bank, where they have centrally located elevators where you go and you put in your, what floor you want to go to, and it will tell you a letter of that elevator. Pretty spectacular. The thing is, you go over and you push in your number, and you think you kind of walk away, you forget to look at your letter. So you have to put in deck 8 and then look for your letter, go to elevator B. So some people said, oh, you have to wait a little bit. Well, maybe you do at really peak times, but when you get on that elevator, it's going to that floor. The exception is if somebody is on a different floor and also going, it will stop for that person going to the exact floor, but you're not stopping at every single floor typically. So that was a great add. Definitely all of the spaces that you can access on the ship, where you have little areas of the ship that you can have, just your group can sit and have chairs and just have conversation or a cocktail. Can't even describe to you all of those places. That was a huge add. And the pool decks, my gosh. Well, let me touch on that for a second. Lots of pool options for sure. And one of the things that has been talked about a lot is the pool closings, especially the family or open pools. Not sure what's really going on there. Lots of potty accidents. Talked to one of the officers on the ship, and he's like, here's the thing. When there is something that happens in the pool for safety, we're going to shut the pool down, and we're going to clean and do what we have to do to make it healthy. And of course we want that. It happened a lot. Is it because there's so many more people on the ship? Nobody knows. But the general, family pool areas were closed quite a bit on a 7-day cruise. So there's talk about, do you limit like children, if they're in diapers, should they say, okay, you can't, access this pool? I don't have the answer. But that was one of the complaints. Again, not really sure why it seems so much more on Icon than any other ship that I had been on. But back to the positives, which was there were so many options for you to enjoy a hot tub or a pool area. If one was a little more crowded, there were plenty of other spaces to enjoy. So I think they nailed it on, again, reimagining spaces for people where you had options, not just all the common areas where everybody was rushing to.
Yeah, I think there's 6, 7 different pools on board. So if 1 or 2 are down, there's still tons of options. And I do like you mentioned, Mom, that they added the Surfside pool for the kids. Splashaway Bay is not on the pool deck anymore. It's down in Surfside, which is so nice, because then they've got the pool on the back for the adults. Then they've got Splashaway Bay in front, so you can kind of watch your kids, but be in the water looking at Splashaway Bay. And then you also got food down there, and it's basically helps with the crowds a little bit.
So great that they had Surfside and had the splash area for the kids separate. Again, they really made an effort to have separated areas for families to enjoy. People that are, older, maybe want a little more quiet area. There's something for everybody as far as the pools are concerned. Even like Swim and Tonic. That's just a cool concept, because you can, swim up bar on a cruise ship. That was always a fun place. And again, great music, whether it's DJ or live. Lots of people enjoying that. So it's all about the spaces on Icon, all about, having an area for everybody. And let me always say, I always say that Royal does such a great job with their ships and having something for everybody at every age. So don't think for 1 minute on Icon, it's all families. It is not. We saw plenty of people that were, seniors, Pinnacle members that were enjoying Icon and had equally as good a time. So that's the perks with Royal, is you can go on a giant family reunion, which, by the way, we saw tons of groups of large families enjoying Icon, and there's something for everybody. It's not a one size fits all. Everybody can go and find something that they're enjoying. So I think it's going to be the go-to ship for a very long time.
So your cruise finally came to an end. Unfortunately, all great cruises come to an end. This is the largest ship in the world, right? Most number of passengers with passengers and crew. We're talking 10,000 people on this massive floating city. How was the disembarkation process at the Port of Miami?
Oh my gosh, easy peasy. Again, kudos to Royal. It's pretty seamless. They have you disembark, of course, by number or time. And I guess the days of, years ago cruising, you could kind of leisurely get off. Well, those days are kind of gone. The idea is the cruise is over. They want you to enjoy, of course, a coffee and some breakfast, and then make your way off the ship so that they can prepare for the next cruise. But you're not rushed. You really don't ever again feel crowded. If you follow kind of the rules and stick to your time, there's no problem getting off. You never feel that you're squeezed into a huge line or congested area. It's very, very easy. Of course, you're sad. Nobody likes disembarking. You've had a great time and your cruise is over, but they make it easy. It's just seamless. So kudos to Royal for that.
So kind of let's just go over some overall thoughts here about the service you had, the dining, the itinerary. How would you compare this cruise to the other ones you've done? Anything you would have done differently? And are there any recommendations you have overall for someone looking at sailing on Icon of the Seas?
Honestly, we were lucky because we were still with the quote unquote rollout crew, which means that they take a lot of their top people from probably Oasis class. Actually, sadly or happily, I recognize and knew some of the crew that were on for the rollout of Icon, because of course they want it to go as smooth as possible. So they did a fantastic job. Now, a lot of the people that work at those rollout cruises are only on a 3-month contract. So they're there to help train and have everything, again, work seamless for Icon as they start their first sailings. I can't say enough about all of the crew. I just think they did a phenomenal job. Loved Icon. However, I did have an opportunity to take my first celebrity cruise. That's another show, but loved Celebrity. Talked to some of the staff on Icon about Celebrity, and they're like, well, same concept. It's just one step up in luxury. And yes, definitely a different concept. But again, we'll definitely go on Icon again. Still have a very great place in my heart for Oasis class. I think it's still tough to beat a Symphony and Harmony, but we'll hopefully get to go on another Icon again here soon.
Well, Mom, thank you so much again for coming on the podcast. I think this was an excellent episode. I think people are really going to enjoy just hearing about your thoughts. I think you're kind of like a cruise expert when it comes to Royal Caribbean. You've been on so many ships and you bring a lot of, awesome perspective. So thanks again for coming on, and we look forward to having you on the podcast again soon.
Thanks for having me, and I'm excited to hear all of the feedback from people that you help, get on Icon, and excited to hear what they say. I think that you're going to have positive feedback, and it's a great ship, and look forward to coming back on again.
Well, with that, we're going to wrap up today's episode. Thank you again, Mom, for coming on. And if you're interested in booking Icon, Michael and I would love to help you. You can send us a message on Instagram at Cruise Conversations. You can also send us an email at cruiseconversations@gmail.com. You can shoot us a text at 704-313-8556, and we can help you book your next cruise, whether it's Icon or any other Oasis class ship or any other cruise ship out there for that matter. So with that, thank you so much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you back here next Wednesday.